I'm going to give a presentation about comprehensive overview of cybersecurity tools, types and uses, and industry application. Okay, it's an in-depth look at the cybersecurity tools. I'm going to explore different categories of tools designed to protect digital assets from evolving cyber threats. Okay, we will begin with an introduction to cybersecurity tools, their importance, followed by detailed sections on endpoint security, network security, encryption identity, and access management. Vulnerability assessment, SIEM tools, which is system information and event management tools, cloud security, web security, and email security tools. To start, we will define cybersecurity tools, understand the nature of cyber threats, risks, and review the primary categories of these tools that help mitigate various security challenges. Cybersecurity tools refer to the software and hardware solutions designed to help safeguard information systems from unauthorized access, attacks, and damage. The importance lies in protecting sensitive data, ensuring business continuity, and maintaining trust and reputation. Cyber threats include malware, phishing, ransomware, and insider threats, amongst others, while risks involve vulnerabilities in systems or processes. Recognizing these threats and risks is essential for implementing effective security measures. Cybersecurity tools are broadly categorized based on their functions, such as endpoint security, network security, encryption, identity and access management, or IAM, vulnerability management, SIEM, which is system information and event management, cloud security, web security, and communication security. Endpoint security focuses on securing devices like computers, mobile phones, tablets, laptops, and anything like that, and servers that connect to the network. We will explore different tools designed to protect these endpoints from threats. Antivirus and anti-malware programs detect and remove malicious software from endpoints, providing a fundamental layer of defense against cybersecurity attacks targeting individual devices. Endpoint detection response tools continuously monitor endpoints to detect suspicious activities and respond to potential threats, enabling rapid incident containment and remediation. Okay, so this is important. These systems monitor and analyze activities on individual hosts to prevent suspicious or malicious behavior, complementing network-based protection methods. Network security tools protect data in transit and monitor network traffic to prevent unauthorized access and attacks. Let's examine key tools in this category. So data in transit means that data is being moved from one point to another point. Data at rest is where it rests on like data servers or backup or storage on the cloud, okay? And it's important that all data, regardless of where and what it's doing, or what it is, be encrypted. Firewalls act as barriers between trusted and untrusted networks by filtering and incoming and outgoing traffic based on predefined security rules, available as hardware devices or software applications. And a lot of places will use a combination of both. Intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems identify potential threats by monitoring network traffic, while IPS or intrusion protection systems actively block or prevent detected malicious activities to protect network integrity. NAC tools, which is Network Access Control. Tools enforce security policies on devices attempting to access the network, ensuring only compliant and authorized devices to connect to organizational resources. Okay, so you've got to enforce security policies. That's what it does, okay? These tools protect sensitive data both at rest and in transit by converting it into unreadable formats and preserving confidentiality and integrity. Encryption software applies cryptographic algorithms to encode data, making it accessible to only authorized users with the correct decryption keys. Protocols like SFTP or Secure File Transfer Protocols and FSTP, okay, which is File Transfer Protocol Secure, I think something like that. Ensure files are transferred securely over networks by encrypting data during transmission to prevent interception. DLP or data loss prevention systems monitor and control data movement to prevent unauthorized sharing or leaks of sensitive information outside of the organization. IAM or Identity and Access Management tools manage user identities and regulate access to resources, ensuring that only authorized individuals can perform specific actions. And you'd also have principle of least privilege, so giving people only the rights they specifically need to do their duty. And you can also have different things where someone can have like specific tasks, you know, like they call it PIM, Process Information Management, or, you know, PAM, Process Access Management. So people can be given slightly elevated roles depending on the task that they need to do. So they can submit a request to get their access temporarily heightened to do a specific task, or they can be time-based, and other things. There's different things you can do here. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, enhances security by requiring users to provide multiple forms of verification, such as passwords plus a code sent to a mobile or a fingerprint, eye scanner, different things, okay? SSO, which is Single Sign-On Solutions, allows users to authenticate once and gain access to multiple applications, improving user convenience while maintaining security control. You also need to do defense in depth. You wouldn't just rely on one level of security, you have multiple levels of security. Okay, so I'm talking you'd have network segmentation, you'd have, you know, the DMZ, demilitarized zone, you would have like VMs, virtual machines, you have VPNs, highly secured, going through IPsec, which is IP security. You'd have different levels here, okay? And you would like have to, for every area, like the most secure would be like customer data and financial data and personal information. And you shouldn't have one person controlling different things. So you have to have breakup of duties, okay? Privileged Access Management, or PAM, as I just talked about earlier. This involves securing and monitoring access with elevated permissions to prevent misuse and reduce risk associated with privileged users. So you would never allow anyone to log in as an administrator. You would allow them PAM, or Principal Access Management, depending on what role they need to do and what thing they do. So it would be for a temporary thing, depending on the duty that they have to do. So you'd have to have like a specific task, usually given like in the form of a ticket, or a predefined task done. And once the task complete, their access goes back to what it was normally, or it's a time-based, or it's location-based, or it's IP-based. There's different things you can do. These tools identify, evaluate, and manage security weaknesses in systems to reduce attack surface and improve overall security posture. Automated scanners, known as vulnerabilities detect known vulnerabilities in software, hardware, and configurations, helping organize, prioritize remediation efforts. And obviously, talking with the customers, you've got to talk about things like, are there any old logons from old workers that are still active? Because that is a risk. You're going to get hacked. Do people have maybe moved on in roles and changed roles within the department, and are their old roles still active? That is a risk of a data breach. So this is a thing. You need to start looking at, talking to the customer, looking at their situation, what they have, and you need to know, you have to be realistic in terms of cost and time. So you obviously ask them, obviously customer data, personal data, financial data are going to be the biggest areas you need to look at, okay? But you also got to look at, the more secure you make a system, the longer things take and the harder it is to use frequently. So you got to have some sort of middle point with security and ease of use. Patch management systems, or PMS, automate the deployment of software updates to fix vulnerabilities and enhance system security. And sometimes this is a good idea and sometimes not, because sometimes patches or updates or upgrades will fix known vulnerabilities, but will have unknown vulnerabilities. So often you've got to really make sure you know what you're doing with this, okay? Automated penetration testing tools. These tools simulate cyber attacks to test security defenses, uncovering weaknesses before attackers can exploit them. Security information and event management tools, as SIEM, okay? Aggregate and analyze security data from multiple sources to provide real-time monitoring and incident response capabilities. And this is important that people who use these tools make sure that the alarm isn't just like a furphy, something that's not really happening, but the system's picking up something that, that might not be all that serious. But it's something you've got to be at least, if someone's failed a log on 5 times, you should have the system lock them out and they have to ring IT. Could be they've just forgotten their password, they've left the caps lock key on, or it could be illicit. So it might not be anything harmful, but you lock them out of the system after, say, 5 unsuccessful logins, and then they have to talk to IT, which at that point, you might, if it's someone who can't remember the password or gets it wrong, a secure password management system would probably be best, okay? SIEM systems continuously collect and examine logs. So all computers, systems and network systems have logs to detect suspicious behavior and alert security teams promptly. And again, if someone normally finishes at, say, 6 p.m. and their user is logging in at 8 p.m., that is something you should flag for attention. That could be a problem. Now, it could be that person for that day just have to work late, right? So this is, again, you would probably block the user. They'd have to ring up the IT, which should be on call, and find out, is this a user having to catch up with work from home or from the office, or they're having to do a major project and get it done, or is this something that could be suspicious? And again, this is why it's flagged and you'd probably block it and the person has to contact IT. Although, really, if people are going to be working after their normal hours or working in geographic locations that aren't normally known, if they're working from home, that would be a known IP and a location. But if working from unknown ones, they should be telling the IT people what's going on, what they're doing, why, and so that the people know, okay, this is going to be coming into the system, something we need to watch for, okay? Because it might be harmless, but it might not be. SIM systems and tools facilitate quick identification and coordinated responses to security incidents, minimizing potential damage. So this is IDR, Incident Detection and Response. They incorporate external threat data to stay updated on emerging risks and enhance proactive defense strategies. Now, the world of security, cybersecurity is always changing. There's always new threats. There's always new ways. And this is an ongoing, so this is something that's really needed. With growing cloud adoption, specialized tools help cloud environments, workloads, and access. Cloud Access Security Brokers, or CASB, enforce security policies between cloud service users and providers, offering visibility and control over cloud usage. Now, this is important because depending on the type of cloud infrastructure you have, there's differences in types of security tools and differences in what's needed. And like company is really, or the user usually is expected to encrypt their data and have some sort of control over the data in the cloud. This is something like if people do not know what they're doing, they need to talk to professionals, okay? These platforms, cloud platforms, provide security for cloud-based applications, workloads, including threat detection and compliance management. So these are cloud workload protection platforms, okay? CSPM, or Cloud Security Posture Management, continually assesses cloud configurations to identify and remediate security risks and misconfigurations. And this is common because a lot of people often do not know what they're doing with the cloud because there's so many options and so many different companies that do it, and there's so many different ways of doing the cloud, different types of services, and it can be very confusing, okay? And even people who've got, you know, very good IT applications can't know everything about the cloud. So this is important that you really look at, you know, what sort of cloud setup you've got, what's going on, who's doing what, who's responsible for what, and that's important. Web security tools safeguard web applications and browsing activities against attacks and malicious content. Web application firewalls, or WAFs as they're called, protect web applications by filtering and monitoring HTTP traffic and to block attacks like SQL injection and cross-site scripting. Okay? And most websites now rely, and you have to use HTTPS, which is Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol, okay? And SQL is type of database. These gateways enforce company policies and block access to malicious websites, protecting users from web-based threats. And that is very important because that's a high one. Security extensions enhance browsers protections by blocking trackers, malicious scripts, and phishing attempts. Okay, and phishing, smishing, vishing are all very serious problems. And you also want to have a great deal of email security. And on top of everything, the biggest cybersecurity tool you need to have is educate the users and customers, because 99% of the problem is just user error. They don't understand what to do or why. And it's people making mistakes, and people do make mistakes. They're going to happen. Like you got to train and educate people not to open emails they don't know or don't look fishy, you know, and you should have email scanning programs really, okay? So Communication security tools will protect email and messaging systems from threats like phishing, malware, and data leaks. These gateways, so secure email gateways, filter incoming and outgoing emails to detect and block spam, malware, and phishing attempts. And these systems, while good, are not perfect. So you still need, like, the biggest security thing you can do in your company is honestly educate all your workers, okay, all of them, because this is something that it's not that workers are being malicious, it's they just don't know, right? And in your systems, you should have minimum 12 character with special characters included passwords with password protection, like password managers that are secure and that people don't share passwords and don't tell the passwords, and all that sort of thing. These are the things, like having good passwords and principle of least privilege, defense in depth, training your workers and training your users is going to be the biggest thing you can do to help your cybersecurity, okay? And then you got to look at priorities too. Like training is going to be a big one, but also like customer data, financial data, personal data. These are the most important things you've got to prepare for, and you've got to look at the real life threats that happen there, because this all comes down to risk management and risk strategies. What do you do, Phishing protection solutions or phishing protection tools identify and prevent deceptive attacks aimed at stealing credentials or sensitive data. Email encryption ensures that email content is only accessible to intended recipients, safeguarding confidentiality during communication. Cybersecurity tools are essential for defending against a wide range of threats in today's digital landscape. Understanding the types, tools, and applications of these tools enables organizations to build robust security frameworks and protect their assets effectively. And look, I'm here to tell you the most important thing about cybersecurity, apart from everything else I've mentioned, is that nothing is unhackable. You can put all the security you want in place and nothing is unhackable. And primarily, a lot of the big risk is network architecture is not done correctly. So this is important to have someone who specializes in network architecture and keeping it secure, helps out with that. And you've got to also look at what's achievable in monetary terms and what's achievable in time. And you've got to be able to break this down for the experts in a way they can understand. This is going to cost you, right? And this is how it's going to cost you. Keep it. So, because a lot of the, the board, you got to say, oh, can, your login, I found your login from 5 years ago and it's still active, even though they've changed roles. And that's a problem because someone else could log in, okay?